Okay, we're going to do the Wii U crisis report. Nintendo has had a lot of success and not very much success with consoles in the past. So we had the GameCube, and I always get GameCube and Xbox numbers mixed up. It either did 18 million or 22 million lifetime units. I think it did 18. And then we had the Wii that has done 100 million, lifetime so far. What's good? I mean, the PlayStation 2, I think, sold about 150 million. That's really good. Most consoles, PS3, Xbox 360, sell 75 million. So anything, that's 18 or 22 million isn't very good, and 100 million and above is really good. I think Microsoft and Sony probably barely made money on their console sales at 75 million, but Microsoft made a ton of money on software and a ton of money on Xbox Live. So as you think through the Wii U, if it doesn't project out to 50 million or so, it's probably not going to be a very profitable device. And the truth is that Nintendo missed its initial, 5 million forecast the first few months, did 3.5 or 3.6 million. And then this past quarter, it sold 160,000 units, which is pretty sad. The company's guiding to 9 million units for the year. They sold 160,000 in their first fiscal quarter, which is June 30th. That means that in the back 3 quarters, in the last 9 months of the year, they have to sell 8.8 million units or more to get close to what they think they're going to sell this year. And please keep in mind that from launch, when theoretically there was some pent-up demand in November through March, they sold about 3.6 million. So these guys have an uphill fight. To get to these numbers, they'd have to sell about 3 million in the September quarter. I don't see how that's going to happen. And they'd have to sell about 5.5 million or 5.8 million or something in the next 2 quarters, comparing to 3.6 last year. Really, literally something like 3, 3.5, and 2 in the next 3 quarters. I think Pikmin is probably going to help them sell some consoles, but not 3 million, probably 1 million. So it's going to be a really tough, road for these guys. And even if they limp and get there, what do they do for an encore? If they sell 12 million the first full, fiscal year plus the launch year, it looks to me like they're tracking to selling 30 million lifetime without a big price cut. I know that Nintendo will tell you this is all about first-party software, and I think that's right if you're a first-party gamer. If you play Nintendo games only and you're just waiting for the right kind of game, okay, that's great. I don't think there are more than 30 million of you out there. And I think that the casual gamer that drove Wii sales up to 100 million, that gamer's not buying a Wii U at 349 bucks no matter what. I think if you kind of parse out the 100 million in Wii sales, you probably have 30 million core Nintendo fanboys, people who really love Nintendo. They're going to buy a Nintendo console because they want to play Nintendo content, and that is first and foremost in their minds. Then you have about 20 million core gamers who are probably close to indifferent between the 3 consoles this past cycle, the Xbox 360, the PS3, and the Wii. And they were probably influenced to buy the Wii because they love Nintendo content and it had plenty of other third-party content available. I'm not sure they're going to get that other third-party content on the Wii U. We know they're not getting FIFA or Battlefield this holiday. So yes, they're getting Call of Duty, but they're not getting FIFA or Battlefield. You're not getting Grand Theft Auto. So not that that's available on the next-gen Xbox or PlayStation, but it's on the current-gen Xbox and PlayStation. So there's a lot of reasons for that 20 million group not to buy a Wii U. I'd say the biggest, though, is price. That you're really not getting anything that's significantly different from an Xbox 360 or a PS3, and they probably already have one, except for the Nintendo content. So I think 30 is probably where the Wii U is going to end up. I think that means Nintendo probably doesn't make much money on it. They'll make money on the software, but when you think about software attach rates, the Wii cycle, Nintendo sold software to 100 million Wii owners. I think the lifetime attach rate was around 8, so about 800 million pieces of software. This next cycle, even if the hardcore guys buy 12 or 13 titles each, if there's only 30 million of them, they're going to sell about half as much software, which means Nintendo's going to make about half as much money in the cycle. So that's really the Wii U crisis point. The other side of Nintendo is handheld, and handheld consoles are just losing market share to smartphones. I don't think anybody says, oh gee, DS I can play, or 3DS I can play Pokemon, or I can play Super Mario 3D World or something, or cell phone I can play Angry Birds. That guy, no. But it's the person who gets a cell phone and can play really casual games like Tetris, and they just need to get a handheld game device less. I mean, they have less of a desire because they're playing enough on their cell phone, or because they spent a couple $100 on the cell phone and they don't have the money left, to buy a 3DS. So I think that's part of it. I think that cuts into the older demographic. I think tablets cut into the younger demographic. I think parents, look at a Kindle for 169 bucks and a 3DS for 169 bucks. They probably would rather get their 6-year-old a Kindle, which has games and allows the kid to read, as opposed to a 3DS. So I just think Nintendo's getting pressed from both ends, smartphone and tablet. I think the 3DS will continue to sell 15 million units a year, probably sliding down a little bit, like down 1 million a year for the next few years. But remember, the DS sold 30 million units for a couple of years and 26 million for a couple. So I'd say lifetime sales of 3DS are probably going to be about half as big as the DS, which is the same result. Nintendo's software sales will be about half as big as they were last cycle. There will be some supplement from all the digital stuff that Nintendo offers on the Wii channel, for download, and I think that'll help them a bit. But I'd say best case, their profits get cut in half, and worst case, they keep chasing, this dream that the 3DS will be as big as the DS and the Wii U will come back and be as big as the Wii, and they spend money and generate a lot less profit. I do think, though, that the way the company has spun the performance of the 3DS as being ahead of the DS at a similar point in its life cycle. If you remember, the DS came out, it was a big old fatty. It was a big fat device. It was hard to put in your pocket. It wasn't really that comfortable to hold. When they redesigned it as the DS Lite, that's when sales took off, and they literally doubled from year to year. So, the 3DS is tracking ahead of the fatty. It's actually tracking behind the DS, and it's not even remotely close to catching up to DS monthly sales. So it may have been the best-selling handheld in the month of, June? In the month of June, or best-selling console, excuse me, but it's not even close to what the old DS was doing. I'd say it's tracking to 15 million. The Wii U is probably tracking to about 6 million this year. And if those numbers happen, Nintendo is not getting back to its historical level of profits anytime soon. Probably not anytime as long as Mr. Iwata is still running the company.